Sometimes when I'm using geometry nodes, I wish some of the Blender's built-in modifiers were available as nodes. So in this video, I'll create the mirror modifier as a node group. First of all, let's learn more about the mirror modifier.
We can find it under the generate category. By default, it will have the x-axis enabled. This means we are mirroring the x-axis. We can enable or disable any axis. Below the axis, there is a bisect option. We can cut out the positive side of the mirrored object using the mirror planes. What is a mirror plane? We can say it is an invisible plane perpendicular to each axis. We can not only cut out the positive side of the mirror plane, we have the flip options, which simply does what it says. Flip the bisect side, or I can say direction. By default, the mirror modifier uses the location and the rotation of the origin point to make the mirror plane's orientation. But we can choose another object to reference the position and rotation. We also have the clipping option, which is only used in edit mode to snap the vertices to the mirror planes when enabled. Points which are less than or equal to this specified distance apart can be merged if merge is enabled. We can also add an offset to the mirror planes towards its axis directions. And lastly, under the data, we have options to offset the UV maps.
Okay, let's now get into geometry nodes. First of all, set things ready. Let's add a cube and go in edit mode. With all vertices selected, let's for example move in x-axis. Create a new node group, rename it to maybe GN mirror mean, because for now we'll just make a mean mirror node group that works only for one axis. We need a plane that cuts the x-axis. So let's use the grid. We only need it to have two vertices in the x and y, and enough size as big as the mesh from the input geometry. Let's rotate it in the y-axis by 90 degrees. We can organize nodes by putting them in frames. Now let's move all the points of the input geometry to the surface of the mirror plane. We can achieve this by sampling the position of the nearest surface and then use those positions to move the input geometry using the set position node. To get the position of the geometry when mirrored, we simply sample the position and subtract it from the position of the geometry we are working on, and then add the result again to the position of the geometry we are working on. If we connect the result to the set position node, we see that a geometry shape appears. We can then join the geometry with the input geometry, and we will see that it is exactly mirrored to the other side of the mirror plane. We are done with the mirror functionality. Now let's make the bisect options. We can achieve that by using a mesh boolean node. To cut one side of the geometry we are using by using the mirror plane. We are cutting both the input and mirrored geometry. We can use a switch node to enable or disable the boolean function. Again, we can use the switch node to jump or go through the flip node. We are done with the GN mirror mean. Now let's make the real GN mirror. We need to make 3 mirror planes for X, Y, and Z axis. Again, we can use the grid and transform node to rotate in different axes for different axes. Also, we need 3 GN mirror mean nodes we made. The geometry will first go through the x-axis mirror, then to the y-axis, and lastly to the z-axis mirror. So we can use the switch modifier to bypass the nodes according to what options we have set. You will find a working node in the project file. I'll leave the link in the description. If you like this video, hit that like button or subscribe or share if you want to get more from this channel. Thank you for watching.